Hey guys, this is Andre. I'm a certified translator and a real estate agent. Today's subject is kind of tricky. We're going to talk about girls and relationship. But as most of my audience would assume here, I'm not going to teach you how to hook up with a girl. This is, let's say, not exactly my kind of subject. I would like to give a friendly, let's say, warning to my fellow men across the ocean, perhaps, let's say to a general Western man about what to do and what to be aware of when they're dealing with, let's say, a girlfriend from here, which they have never met. So I hope this topic will be of some interest. Leave your feedback down below. Any support to the channel is welcome. And let's get started. Again, this is not a tutorial about how to get married over here. I have seen my share of dates, marriages, and divorces essentially, and I guess I have a few things I could share with you on a free of charge basis. A consultancy is obviously something more technical and a paid service, so please contact me directly if you have to. If you have some specific questions or some complicated subject on your mind. Some general stuff we can discuss here in the comments. The very first point about collecting information about how to travel to Belarus and stay here. On the one hand, it's clear that you want to lift some of this burden off their shoulders and make it as most hassle-free as you can to your future girlfriends / wives. It's natural and normal, but it's kind of ridiculous when somebody on TripAdvisor, which is basically a tourist forum, starts asking this wife / girlfriend dating and registration questions which are not quite related. From a perspective of a local, trust me, if the girlfriend is interested in you as a whatever, boyfriend, husband, something serious is about to work out between you and her, she'll do her homework, she'll arrange your visa, she'll trouble her local OGIM, which is not too troublesome a thing to get a private visa, and she'll get all these arrangements for you. When you're trying to cut it short and make it easy for them, you are trying to get your side arrangements, which is kind of wise because you don't depend on her arrangements, but this allows you to run an official check of how serious she is. If she wouldn't bother to get that invitation in her name for you, if that's somebody else's name, you already should be asking yourself questions if it's all going the right way, and offering her to stay at her place. She may be a family lady, there may be some kids and everything, that happens. You might also think about booking a neutral ground and a place where you could see her during the holiday, and ideally, if it's not her home provincial town, but some larger town like Minsk. If she doesn't have time for a weekend when you come over, well, you should ask yourself the same questions. Is it working out the right way? I had an interesting story with a Canadian guy who spent some terrific weekend in Kamarin, where he was kind of confined to the place that she rented. She saw him at nighttime, and she literally walked him at daytime to see the supermarket, the only supermarket in that place. It's a town in eastern Belarus. And he messaged me very swiftly after arriving there. I didn't handle the arrangements. He just contacted me just to get me out of Kamarin. So all the 150 kilometers or something, he was telling me horror stories about that town. So don't be like Kamarin, Canadian guy. Make your arrangements solid and plan it wisely. It may contradict what I just said, but double check the information that you're getting. Another American boyfriend was told to leave the country as soon as possible. There's some kind of a nearly revolution about to happen. And indeed, when I was at the airport on the same day, the police were lining up. It was just our president arriving, and there is some security hassle normally at such times. So the guy basically cheerfully spent a few days, had his plan B girlfriend meeting him, and it was okay. So don't immediately take this stuff like you need to leave the country and have a source, an alternative where you can double check that. It could sound like a commercial, but it could be a guy like me, it could be a travel agent, it could be somebody who handles your arrangements and you have a communication bridge with. That could be important. Two great cases with meet them first before planning global. I've handled the residency arrangements for an American guy who was hooked up with his Moscow-based lady who was balancing between her Sochi properties and Moscow properties and some business in Minsk, and her dacha somewhere near Orsha, that's far and very, let's say, remote province in eastern Belarus. So he wanted to find a house in her same village to be there just when she comes, or whatever he had in mind. But they had 1 or 2 days together, and she quickly, let's say, changed the plan, the whole global plan. So I'm glad we really didn't settle for a village house. I was very much against it. And we had a little one-room apartment in Vitebsk. There is a video about shopping for that, shopping for an apartment in Vitebsk. You may like it because realities haven't changed much. And this is just a good reminder to not go with your marriage plans in the first line, but to establish a solid base for relocation and then see how that could be best coordinated with relationship, if the relationship works out. In another case, my American client and a good subscriber, supporter of my channel, he's gone, unfortunately, after they met on a neutral ground in Italy. 1 week later, it turned out she was not his type, and the other way around, probably. So this all happened as they were struggling to make that K1 American visa. You know, I even know the abbreviation because people are asking, what do we do to arrange the K1, blah, 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 and to arrange the American visa application. A local applicant has to go to Europe, for which they have to get an EU visa, which is a separate set of arrangements and, let's say, a bureaucratic challenge of sorts. So before you go anywhere global, go to Turkey. It's visa-free for both of you, and see if you are made for each other. That sounds wise, I think. If there is some money involved, and unfortunately in our relationships, our ladies and Western guys, there's often money. I'm sometimes surprised when fairly adequate Europeans, let's say, Westerners, are telling me, oh, when I was leaving, she asked me for 500 euro, like pocket money. Let's call it pocket money rather than paid sex. So it's up to you whether you want to build relationship like this or not. But if there's some kind of communication about money, you want to screenshot it and you want to document some proof that money was actually provided, because in case with I call him my main German client, his first girlfriend here started to actually blackmail him about giving her more money or she would report his wrongdoing to the police, except there was no wrongdoing. So using simple and legal linguistic tools, we just made our point and broke that communication, and everything was okay. So guys, just get some insurance. Identity verification. Now, it's obvious that any official identity check is a legal business, and for me, offering you such services would be very illegal, so I'm not offering you any of that. But there are some very simple and, in a way, elegant ways to check if your charming little lady that you never see in a video call, and I've had an interesting case like that, can be identified as not a charming lady, and, you know, that just proves you that your thing doesn't work really. In that case, the guy was suspicious because the lady wasn't sending him any full quality, good resolution images that could be like Google searched. So there were kids, there was some nice smiling lady, and she also sent him the copy of her Russian passport. So this was a good catch, because once I saw the picture where she was cheerfully smiling, I realized it was a fake, and then it turns out there's a whole factory online which can produce you a Russian passport copy, let's say. But the major catch was that we don't smile on passports. It's disallowed. You have to look neutral like in real life. Last but not least for today, it's cheaper to marry here because it's also cheaper to divorce here. I had an interesting case. A good American divorced back there in America, the first Belarusian wife that she married there, and it cost him a ton of money, plus legalization and translation of those papers, the court verdict. And I handled, as a translator, his second marriage paperwork package. It was exciting, it was challenging. I think I posted on Instagram about how it worked out, but eventually we got him married. But even in Russian, local bureaucrats are really hard to get to the core, and you have to explain them in rounds that this very paper with this very translation is actually what it is. I won't trouble you with the bureaucratic wrinkle about his paperwork from the vital records, but the proof of the, let's say, of not having a current marriage in his state was given in such a wording that it really took me an argument and fetching the department manager in the local ZAGS, Centralny Palace of Marriages near Victory Square, to get through to it and to convince them that this was really the paper that they needed. Finally, they believed me. So it's not exactly a commercial of my charming companionship, of my professional skills, which may be handy here and there, but guys, choose your contacts here reasonably carefully. Make sure you have some kind of a logistics guy you can rely on. It could be girl, whatever you just feel better about. And happy for any feedback under this video and your questions, and maybe we'll see each other in Minsk someday. Cheers.